there is a new GoFundMe page that has hit the internet. Maggie, tell us about this.
The three of us, the four of us, including Art, this was something we'd always talked about. I know you guys have been really talking about the A-frame house situation and trying to make moves on that. And we all just decided, I think now is the time to get the ball rolling.
To clarify, what is this money going towards?
People really want this slab of concrete in the backyard of the A-frame house searched. There have been a lot of local rumor about it.
If you do not reach the $10,000 goal, what happens?
Well, the money is still there, and we can still, use it for a reward, GPR, whatever the community wants us to do. And we've talked to the police. They are totally fine with everything that we're doing. It's not going to interfere with anything that they are doing. We have the blessing of the Murrays. Fortunately, met and been in touch with Bobby Chacon of the FBI, who's helped out with some services that they've used in the FBI for GPR. So, this is a real community effort.
What you see behind me is scanning the grounds using radar. This property was one of interest in the Maura Murray disappearance case 14 years ago. And all these years later, her father is still looking for answers. And he tells us that he's thankful that there are still people willing to support him in his search.
This is something that has never been done, and it's in a place that absolutely has to be ruled out.
The previous owner of this property was reluctant to let it be searched after Maura Murray disappeared in 2004. But Sunday, the new owners led a survey crew on the grounds. The goal is to look for anomalies in the soil, basically disturbances.
It's about time, but we never had the resources.
Maura's father, Fred Murray, has been searching for 14 years. Each year, he places a ribbon around the tree where her car was found and says there's still people to talk to and places to look. The focus on this day was a property where a trailer once stood.
What they're finding right now is also an anomaly in the dirt underneath the trailer. Right now we're seeing about 5 feet, and we're not sure how wide yet.
Investigative journalist Maggie Frayling says soil tests will have to be done. Frayling is somewhat responsible for making this high-tech search happen. She recently hosted a documentary featuring Maura Murray's case and garnered a lot of followers.
It would just feel wrong to have worked with the family, gotten to know them, and just been like, hey, I'm done, see you later. I couldn't.
She decided to start a GoFundMe page. She works with friends who run the Missing Maura Murray podcast, and recently they teamed up with GB Geotechnics out of New York City.
It's obviously a case that's affected so many people and continues to affect so many people for so many years. We thought it would be the right thing to do.
They are working for free. It's a gesture that Fred Murray is overwhelmed by as he continues this emotional journey to find his daughter.
Go out of a way for you and then help you out. Oh, man. And she's gone. And I can't get her back. I got to find her. I got to bring her home and bury her.
Now, Maggie and this crew say that this will not be their last visit to the area. In fact, she says she's already found a spot that she wants to look at next. Reporting in Woodsville, Heather Hamill, WMUR News 9.
We're not a huge company globally. There's about sort of 60, 70 people. We specialize in non-destructive investigations. We use various technologies such as ground-penetrating radar, metal detection, various acoustic techniques, thermal imaging, things like that to help us assess structures, historic structures, as well as modern buildings, monuments. We work mainly with engineers and architects. I've been listening to the podcast for, I guess, probably a couple of years now. Saw that Maggie she put together I think it was a GoFundMe, and saw that she was looking for a firm to do some ground penetrating radar up in New Hampshire, and so I got in touch actually via you guys. I think I shot you an email a few months ago, just to sort of introduce our firm and to mention, I guess, sort of talk about how we might be able to help.
You folks approached us and offered it with no charge, free of charge. Well, what made you make that decision?
Well, it's not something that we do all the time, and it's a case that I was quite familiar with. I think Graham was familiar with it also. It's certainly a very sad story, and it's not really something that I would want to make a profit.
You know, we were using the ground penetrating radar a lot as kind of our primary tool to search a couple different areas and large areas. And what we're using that for is to find anomalies in the ground. And that could be something that's buried, maybe like a rock or, you know, some kind of, let's say, a utility line or something like that. Or it could just be changes in kind of the composition of the soil. And so basically once we see something like that, then you can really start to look at the soil and analyze it. And so specifically what we're talking about is underneath the slab of the deck of the house that had the trailer. When you're looking at that, basically what you're doing is you're looking for some kind of boundary or change in the soil, and that is kind of caused by a disturbance. This might be a good time to kind of walk the listeners through what GPR data looks like.
That'd be great.
So think about the beginning of like Jurassic Park, where they're looking at the dinosaur bones and they shoot that pulse into the ground, and boom, they get a nice picture of what the dinosaur is. That's completely not at all what we're dealing with, unfortunately. Instead, it's better to think of this as like a layer cake that you're looking at a slice of it. So you're seeing the different layers, and when you see an anomaly, it can kind of manifest itself in a couple different ways. So ideally, for something large, you're going to see a nice clear hyperbola or you know, hump wave, or you know, you might see in the case of reinforcement or rebar, or in this case what we think is the mesh, you're going to see some close together little humps that are evenly spaced out. Or in the case of some of the other anomalies that we're going to talk about, you're looking at kind of the layers of the cake suddenly being kind of jumbled up. Like if you had taken a spoon and, you know, dug something up and then tried to pack it back down, you're not going to have those nice clean layers anymore. And it depends on a lot of different factors, and you know, sometimes you have to run it through the computer software and pull out a lot of the noise and basically add contrast and that kind of thing. At the end of the day, it really does come back to interpretation, and that's kind of the point of doing things non-destructively. You do your training and take your time and pay attention to the data and try and make your best interpretation based on that data, so that you can kind of target your resources moving forward.
I just want to cover the areas that we searched here. Can you guys describe these all these areas?
Sure. Well, we had several areas at the A-frame house that we were interested in and that we had discussed prior to mobilizing up to New Hampshire. One particular area of interest was the concrete slab within the A-frame house in the closet. Another area that we were interested in was the concrete slab that was about 20 foot by 22 foot or thereabouts outside the A-frame house. And then there was that sort of strange concrete chunk or bench on the other side of the house, the opposite side of the house from the 20 by 22 foot concrete slab. The other area was, so the second day we were there, we were in the I guess we're calling it the F house. The particular area of interest there, two areas of interest, I guess. There was the concrete slab at the base of the steps that lead up to the deck at the front of the house, which I gather there had been some suspicion about. And then there was also an area underneath where the prior owner who built the house had, I guess, like a mobile home type trailer that he was living in during its construction at the time when Maura went missing, from what I understand. So we used the radar to scan the ground at that location.
So right next to the driveway was an area that we had been told that that's where the trailer, the mobile home used to be, kind of that area. And I guess there was some speculation that, you know, maybe something had been possibly buried underneath there, something like that. So we wanted to do a decent-sized survey area of that. And then we do kind of find an anomaly in the area where the trailer mobile home used to be. And to kind of describe what this is, what it looks like, it's about a 4 foot wide by 4 foot wide by, let's call it 1 foot high anomaly, which is interesting because we kind of stumbled across this anomaly, and so we decided to take a soil sample right next to it, and we could really only get to about 12 inches deep with our soil sample before we hit a gravel layer, which then looking at the data you can kind of see where that is. So actually the anomaly kind of breaks through, or at least it appears to break through kind of this layer of gravel. It is something of interest, and it really did kind of catch our eye.
It's not a hyperbolic response, so it doesn't look like there's, you know, something that's reflective in there. It's more a sort of a disturbance in the ground that has clearly defined edges to it, which again would lead us to think that it's like a trench, like something's been dug down.
I'm really looking forward to hopefully getting some information back on the samples that we collected. I think if you combine that with the GPR work that we did, I think, you know, hopefully that kind of really answers some things about it, which was kind of my ultimate goal, was getting answers to either confirm or eliminate things so that, you know, this doesn't stay bogged down, so it keeps moving forward.